I'm taking videos.
Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This morning we went and loaded a bunch of little square bales for our milk cow and for some horses that we have. And now this afternoon we're going to try and get a guard fit up on the recurve fighter. So let's get on over to the table and see the drawing that I've come up with, the kind of guard that I want to get done. So here is the drawing that I've come up with for the guard. I'm going to do an S guard that kind of comes down and covers up the knuckles. I'd thought about doing just an S guard like this, but I think what I'm going to do is one like that. I'm going to use this piece of 416 stainless. I'm going to get it cleaned up, and we'll get a slot milled in there and get it fit. And then once we get that fit, then I can curve it how I want to. I'll heat it up and bend the pieces how I want them. So let's do some measuring. What measurements we need to get the slot milled for on the stainless steel. Okay, so I usually do this on the whiteboard, write my measurements down on the whiteboard so I know what they are. So we need to measure right where the guard is going to sit, and it is 175 thousandths. So we're going to write that down, and then we need to measure how far it is across the tang at the shoulders, and it is 885 thousandths. So we have to use a 1/8 milling bit, which is 125 thousandths. So we have to subtract that from this to account for our, so our slot is going to be like that. It's going to be milled in there. And so if you have a 125 thousandths or a 1/8 milling bit, you're going to be measuring from this side on here. And then when you get it down here, you're measuring from this side of the milling bit. So you need to subtract that, that width of the milling bit from your overall, so you don't mill the slot too big. So, I mean, that's a pretty easy, that's a pretty easy measurement right there. That's the width. So actually this, what I was talking about, will be from the 885, but also you do it on the width this way too. So the slot is slightly bigger than the milling bit, so we will mill it a little bit wider. So 175 minus 125 gives you a measurement of 50 thousandths. So we will move the milling bit in the slot from side to side. We'll do 25 thousandths each way. We'll do 25 thousandths this way, 25 thousandths this way, to give us a total of 175 thousandths. And then on this, we will do minus 125.760. So that will be the length that I will mill this out to, and the width that I will mill this out to. Next, I go back to the drawing. I need to decide how much of this, basically where I need to put my slot in this to give me the best. It's actually going to be a little short for what I have in my drawing, which is fine. My drawing's just something that I just sketched out real quick. Anyway, so we need to go about 2 inches, and then it's gonna be, so we're about 2.5 inches where we're gonna, yeah, 2.5, 2 3/4 where we're gonna start the slot. 2.5 probably. That's where we're gonna start the slot. So we're gonna start it right in there. And then we'll mark the center. We will mark the center. Right there is where we're going to put the slot. All right, let's go over to the milling machine and get that done. Okay, so we are ready to start milling our slot. In here I've got my handles zeroed out so we know where we're at, and we're going to get going on this. I am a novice when it comes to milling. The only thing I know how to mill are slots in my guards. So okay, so the slot is all finished. Finished milling. I'm gonna have to do some hand filing on it to square up these corners right here, because we used a round milling bit, so they're rounded. So we're gonna square these up a little bit. We'll see how it fits so far. Should be just a hair loose, and it is, or hair tight, excuse me. Should be able to pound that on there. We get those corners, let's see if you can see, get those corners right here squared up on the guard. Okay, so I have these nice little needle files. This is a square needle file. Bring this in here and just square these corners up. Now I don't want to take any off of the side here or here, any out of the side. I just want to take it out of the bottom and just square those up so that tang and the knife will fit in there better and nice and tight. I want this guard to be a press fit. We'll pound it on the knife here in just a minute. Should be able to see here now that I've squared these corners up so it'll fit the tang better. We'll take the knife over to the vise, get it clamped in there, and we'll see if we can press fit this down on there. Okay, so you can see I have my blade wrapped in a blue shop towel, and then I have it wrapped in a whole bunch of duct tape. I don't know if you can see it very good, but it's wrapped in duct tape, and then I put a little piece of leather around it and got it clamped in my post vise to make sure we're putting the right edge, the right side. So this will be the front side. Make sure we do that the same every time. We'll get that set down on there. And then take this piece of mild steel that I put a slot on, just so I don't scuff up the guard material on the back side, bend it up and do that kind of stuff. I'll take this, and see if we can press fit this down on there. Might be a little tight yet. Might have to do a little more filing. And a lot of times this takes a couple or 3 times to get this done. Maybe even more than that. Okay, so I shaved a little bit off of the file, off of each side of the slot here, and we'll see how it fits this time. So it's really close to going, and you want to make sure you just do a little at a time so you don't wind up with gaps. Should be really close. Yeah, that looks pretty good, I think. So here it is, getting the light here. There is a little bit of a gap right on the bottom side and the top side right there. There's ways to get rid of that. And then this side looks pretty clean for the most part. We'll get that surface smoothed up on the grinder real quick. But yeah, we're got her pretty well seated on there, I think. Just a little touch-ups here and there, and we'll get her taken care of. Okay, so I have both sides cleaned up to 400 grit off the grinder. Got them all shined up. So I want to make sure that I've got the right side up. So this is the front side of the guard. Now what I have is I have tiny little gaps right along the edge here and here. Not much, but a little. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a small ball peen hammer and I'm going to hit right along the edge of that. And what's that's going to do is it's going to squeeze that hole shut just a little bit. And then we'll take it back to the knife, drive it back on there, and then make sure that there's no more gaps on it. And then I will take it to the grinder and clean up all those divots that I made with the hammer. And it should leave a very form fit guard to the blade. So this is what we're going to do. We'll just hit right along the edge. There was not much of a gap, just a little. Okay, so there you go. That's all I did. Didn't take very much. That should close that up enough to close up any gaps. And then when I drive that, it'll form fit to the ricasso. Let's give her a go. So when you put your knife in the vise, you can really cinch that thing down. It's not going to hurt the knife at all. And you don't want it moving while you're driving this on. So you can really cinch it down. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay, so fitting way tighter than it was last time. All right, let's take that off and see what she looks like. Ooh, oh, knocked over my camera. It's looking much better. Looks like it needs drove on just a little bit more on the top side. I might even have to file a little bit more out of that square corner just to make it fit up there a little tighter. We'll see if it's see if I can drive it on just a little bit more. Yep, that drove it on there. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to knock this guard off of here, and I'll take it back to the grinder and I'll clean up all those little divots that I made with my hammer, and it should leave it tight fit. It should leave it, as long as I don't grind too much of it away, it should leave a tight fit. So I have all the marks that I made with the ball peen hammer all cleaned up, and we're ready to drive it back on there again and make sure that all those gaps are closed up. Make sure we're putting it on the correct way, which we are. Should drive on a little easier this time. Let's see what we have. Much better. Okay, so here we are. There's that side. Looks good. That side as well. One thing that you want to look for is you want to make sure that you don't have any gaps right here where the shoulders, see where the shoulders touch the guard. Okay, so there is the guard all fit. It is looks pretty good. Looks like a nice tight fit. Next on the list is going to be fitting a spacer. So in my drawing, you can see right here, there's a 1/2 inch spacer. So this is some mild steel. I'm going to clean it up and basically do the same thing that I did with this. I'm going to take it, I'm going to get my measurements, mill the slot, knock it on there, have it fit tight. But that will have to wait for the next episode. All right, thanks everybody for coming along for this episode. We have the guard all fit, and we'll get it profiled out here directly. We're gonna get the spacer put on and the handle block fit. Then we can get the profile done on it, get it bent down and where it needs to go. But that's it for this episode. Everything's starting to come together. So thanks for tagging along with me on this one. We'll see you, hopefully see you on the next one. Thanks.